The beginning of 2022, my wife and I, and a friend with another Jeep, made a trip to Utah. We were traveling from different areas of Texas, so after driving either 12 or 16 hours, we all met up in Farmington, New Mexico. By front-loading our drive like that, the following morning when we headed out, we only had about 3 or 4 hours to get to Canyonlands National Park. This would leave us plenty of time to run Elephant Hill and then drive another hour or so up to Moab once we finished. As you're getting close to Canyonlands National Park, the last big highway you're on is Highway 191. From there, you turn left onto a 2-lane hardtop road, which is what you see here. You'll stay on this road for about 30 miles until you get to the park gate. As you're driving along this stretch, you'll be crossing over cattle guards and will need to keep your eyes peeled for the free-roaming cattle. If you don't have an annual pass, you will need to pay to get into the park. Once you're through, you've got another 10 miles of 2-lane before you get to the parking area. It's important to note that you do need a permit for Elephant Hill. We were able to get ours the day before from the Canyonlands National Park website. It's $6 and you have to buy this even if you have an annual pass. Once we got to the trailhead, we stopped, had a snack, and aired down. Park rules for this road is that you are supposed to travel in groups of no more than 3 vehicles. If a group goes in front of you, you're supposed to wait 30 minutes to give them some space. As luck would have it, just as we started our engines, another vehicle drove past us and headed up. We talked it over briefly and decided that since they were a single vehicle, it wouldn't be too bad if we went ahead and joined them. You can see them above on the trail. With the rock formations looming above you, the road starts out as dirt with a relatively steep grade. As soon as we hit the first flat spot, I went ahead and put the Jeep in 4 low. After a few turns, the dirt gave way to rock and stone as we continued to climb. Elephant Hill is considered the most technical 4-wheel drive route in Utah. This is somewhat misleading though, because most of the runs in Utah are trails, and this is technically a road. Throughout the day, I would occasionally see small piles of concrete. They may have been added later by the Park Service, but they still served as a reminder. Several times, I said out loud that I couldn't believe this was considered a road. I imagine the old pickup trucks with narrow tires bouncing along. Their beds, lined with wooden boards, were probably full of feed for the cattle that grazed up in the valley. The first real switchback was sharp enough that they carved out a flat spot to nose your vehicle out onto. This gave you a great view of the parking area below, and also gave you room to back up, then turn around for what would be the last climb before the flats. The other vehicle must have been making good time, because once we got to the top, we never saw them again. As you start dropping into the obstacle that the road is named for, you see where the rock was cut to allow for a somewhat gradual descent. The first landing has a sharp right, which forced us both to back up a bit before continuing down further. I had forgotten earlier to check in on the Jeep Badge of Honor app. My wife was kind enough to do it somewhere along the way, up on the top flat before we dropped down. It's also nice that the app allows checking in, even without cell service, since we had no signal for the majority of the time that we were on the trail. Just below you can see where a park ranger is sitting with their JK Rubicon. That seems like a pretty fun job. This next switchback is somewhat notorious. The turn is so sharp and the road so narrow, you have to nose in and back up about 50 feet to a spot where it widens enough to turn around. What you can't see in the video is that the edge of the road drops off. Even though the edge is reinforced with timber, you have to drive uncomfortably close to it and hope it doesn't crumble under the weight of your vehicle. The spot where you turn around is also where the rangers had stopped, and they checked us for permits. You can either show them proof on your phone or go old school and print them out. After they checked our paperwork, he pointed out a nasty little drop right in front of us, which helped us get around it without much excitement. Around the next turn, we were somewhat surprised to see a full-size GMC pickup truck on the side of the road. I'm not sure if he was waiting for us to get out of the way before he went up, or if he was waiting for the ranger to come assist. We noticed he had a flat tire strapped in the back of his bed, though. I didn't record it, but at some point we stopped for lunch underneath a huge rock overhang. It wasn't really providing much shade, but it seemed like as good a place as any to stop. Soon after we stopped, though, the wind picked up, and with it came a bunch of sand. It got in our food, in all the crevices of our Jeep, basically everywhere. After we wrapped up lunch and we were driving away, I was thinking about the rock overhang. I think it was probably that wind and sand over the years that caused the stone to get carved out. I'm not sure what this rock formation is called, but it feels pretty narrow. You can see the stone on the driver's side is angled towards the Jeep. The stone on the passenger side is angled slightly away from the Jeep. We tried to stay to the passenger side to give us the most clearance for our roofline, but there's several inches on either side. Just take it slow, use a spotter if you have one, and you'll be through in no time. From the Elephant Hill trailhead, we went northwest, down Elephant Hill, and then followed the loop clockwise through Devil's Pocket and Devil's Kitchen Campground. For the sake of time, we went past the spur to the south, down towards SOB Hill. Instead, we continued back around to the north and ultimately out to the Confluence Overlook. After a short hike to the overlook for some pictures, we backtracked down to the loop and continued clockwise. We came out to the same junction where we had started the loop and then continued back out and up Elephant Hill. All in all, this trail took about 5 or 6 hours to run. We left Farmington around 7, got to the trailhead around 10:30, and was back in the parking area, airing back up around 4 o'clock. From there, it was about an hour to get to our hotel, which put us there at the perfect time to grab dinner. Elephant Hill Road was a great way to start the adventures in Moab, and I'm really glad we got the opportunity to run it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.